Good afternoon, everyone. It is September 17th, 2018. I'm Eric. The Act of 1870 is a corporation. There are two constitutions. We're going to talk about the Act of 1871 and another so we can examine just how our government has enslaved all of us. Slavery never ended. It was basically just put under a new system of management. Alright. The Act of 1871 established the District of Columbia. We have been living under the United States Corporation, which is owned by certain international bankers and aristocrats of Europe and Britain. In 1871, the Congress changed the name of the original Constitution by changing one word, and that was very significant, as you will find out. Some people do not understand that one word or two words difference in any legal document do make the critical differences. But Congress has known and does know this. 1871, February 21st, Congress passes an act to provide a government for the District of Columbia, also known as the Act of 1871. With no constitutional authority to do so, Congress creates a separate form of government for the District of Columbia, a 10-mile square parcel of land, and this is related to Acts of 41st Congress, Section 34, Session 3, Chapter 60, Chapter 61 and 62. The Act passed when the country was weakened and financially depleted in the aftermath of the Civil War, was a strategic move by foreign interests, namely international bankers, who were intent upon gaining a stranglehold on the coffers and neck of America. Allow me to say that our military has been protecting banker interest ever since. When you thank a veteran for their service, they're not going out there to protect you as an individual. They are going out there to protect American interest, meaning corporate interest. Now, when the United States became a corporation, the Constitution was set aside. It doesn't exist. It's not applied anymore. What is applied is the second version, and it's a bit different. So when they became a corporation, they became obligated to make the highest amount of profits possible for the shareholders. That is a law. Every corporation is obligated by law to do everything possible to maximize profits. Okay? So, when this happened, not only did the United States become a corporation, but you became a form of collateral to the Rothschild banking dynasty. And it's right here in this act, and it's also Um, and allow me also to say that it seems that with each president, they've passed more and more laws that allow more and more power to the corporation. It is that, a corporation. Alright, so Congress cut a deal with the international bankers, specifically Rothschilds of London, to incur a debt to said bankers because the bankers were not about to lend money to a floundering nation without serious stipulations. They devised a way to get their foot in the door of the United States. The Act of 1871 formed a corporation called the United States. The corporation, owned by foreign interests, moved in and shoved the original Constitution into a dustbin. With the Act of 1871, the organic Constitution was defaced, in effect vandalized and sabotaged. When the title was capitalized and the word "for" was changed to "of" in the title, the Constitution of the United States of America is the Constitution of the Incorporated United States of America. It operates in an economic capacity and has been used to fool the people into thinking it governs the republic. It does not. And this is one of the things that makes which party happens to be ruling at any given time irrelevant. The shareholders rule the country. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, these people do not rule the country. The Rothschilds do. Capitalization is not insignificant when one is referring to a legal document. This seemingly minor alteration has had major impact on every subsequent generation of Americans. And that's because these people keep doing massive wealth transfers. They keep doing massive power transfers, one president after another. And it doesn't matter which one it is. Just look at what Donald Trump did with Israel. That move was done for the Zionists, and the Rothschilds are the head Zionists. What Congress did by passing the Act of 1871 was create an entirely new document, a constitution for the government of the District of Columbia, an incorporated government. This newly altered constitution was not intended to benefit the Republic. It benefits only the corporation of the United States of America and operates entirely outside the original organic Constitution. Instead of having absolute unalienable rights guaranteed under the organic Constitution, we the people now have relative rights or privileges. One example is the sovereign's right to travel, which has now been transformed under corporate government policy into a privilege that requires citizens to be licensed. And that's one of the deals about being licensed. And you shouldn't need permission to travel, but gaining license for it is acceptable, I guess. So there's something else here. That's the Act of 1871. 1871. Now later on, in 1933, March 9th specifically, they declared a state of national emergency. And we have been under this state of national emergency ever since. It's renewed every year. Okay? This isn't from the bill, but it's important. This vast range of powers taken together confer enough authority to rule the country without reference to normal constitutional process. Under the powers delegated by these statutes, the President may seize property, organize and control the means of production, seize commodities, assign military forces abroad, institute martial law, seize and control all transportation and communication, regulate the operation of private enterprise, restrict travel, and a plethora of particular ways control the lives of all American citizens. In the introduction to Senate Report 93 through 549, a majority of the people of the United States have lived all their lives under emergency rule. The next quote is from a report produced in 1973. The introduction goes on to say, for 40 years, freedoms and governmental procedures guaranteed by the Constitution have in varying degrees been abridged by law brought into force by states of national emergency. The actions, regulations, rules, licenses, orders, and proclamations heretofore or hereafter taken, promulgated, made, or issued by the President of the United States or the Secretary of the Treasury since March the 4th, 1933, pursuant to the authority conferred by Section B of Section 6 of the Act of October 6, 1917, as amended, are hereby approved and confirmed. So that means any actions they take are already approved. On March the 5th, President Roosevelt asked for a special and extraordinary session of Congress in Proclamation 2038. He called for the special session of Congress to meet on March the 9th at noon, and at that Congress he presented a bill, an act, to provide for relief in the existing national emergency in banking and for other purposes. In the Act of March 9th, 1933, it further states in Title I, Section 1, the actions, regulations, rules, licenses, orders, and proclamations heretofore or hereafter taken, promulgated, made, or issued by the President of the United States or the Secretary of Treasury since March 4th, 1933, pursuant to the authority conferred by Subdivision B of Section 5 of the Act of October 6, 1917, as amended, and hereby approved and confirmed. And it's the exact same wording that's found in Title 12 USC 95, the language in Title 12 USC 95B is exactly the same as that found in Act of March 9th, 1933. Let's see. Somewhere in here it talks about how you were made, the American people were made the enemy within this act. And I'm trying to find it here. So, in a nutshell, everything that you've been told about the United States and your Constitution is fake. It's fake news, like Donald Trump likes to say. So, you can believe what you want, but just because you believe something doesn't mean you're right. Well, here's a statement made by Senator Church that is remarkable. He said, "Like a loaded gun laying around the House, the plethora of delegated authority and institutions to meet almost every kind of conceivable crisis stand ready for use for purposes other than their original intention." Machiavelli, in his Discourses of Livy, acknowledged that great power may have to be given to the executive if the state is to survive, but warned of great dangers in doing so. He cautioned, "Nor is it sufficient if this power be conferred upon good men, for good men are frail," or he said, "for men are frail and easily corrupted, and then in a short time he that is absolute may easily corrupt the people." And that's happened. Our entire nation is corrupted. Every party is corrupted. When a Republican molests a child, their supporters don't seem to give a shit. But if a Democrat molests a child, that's when the Republican cares, and that is vice versa with the Democrats. And they do the same exact thing. Okay. In Section 17 of the Act of October 6, 1917, the Trading with the Enemy Act, that the district courts of the United States are hereby given jurisdiction to make and enter all such rules as to notice and otherwise, and all such orders and decrees, and to issue such process as may be necessary and proper in the premise to enforce the provisions of this act. But on March the 9th of 1933, the American people were declared to be the public enemy under the amended version of the Trading with the Enemy Act. What jurisdiction were we, the people, then placed under? We were now a booty jurisdiction given to the district courts by Congress. It was no longer be necessary or of any value at all to bring the Constitution of the United States with us upon entering a courtroom, for that court was no longer a court of common law, but a tribunal under wartime booty jurisdiction. Take a look at the American flag in most American courtrooms. The gold fringe around the flag designates Admiralty jurisdiction. And I've been telling you for a long time that all of this was the case. And yet, no matter how much proof people present to the public, they just don't seem to fucking give a shit. You're gonna give a shit when these motherfuckers got the United Nations troops rolling down the road, armed to the teeth in their tanks. They had the National Guard. They mobilized the sheriff's and marshal's offices and start fucking confiscating guns and other types of properties. And it will happen. Mark my words. Anyway, I thought I would share exactly, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more and more legislation further and further enslaving you. Take the Patriot Act, for example. Take the NDAA, the National Resources Preparedness Act. You put all these different legislations together, you're not your own property. You don't have any rights. And in Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, there is provisions in it for execution by guillotine. New guillotines have recently been ordered. Replacement blades along with them. And I forgot the name of the chemical, but there was a good bit of chloride or some shit. Nasty stuff. I did a video about it. So anyway, this is why I tell you in every video that to kill the state before the state kills you. Hope you all have a good day now.